Kimjacobsshow. Listen, we have a great show lined up for you. I'm your host, Kim Jacobs, better known as the Balance Doctor. And all of our guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real, relevant, and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. I am excited to be here with you all today. We're going to be talking about, can you be nice and still get results? I'd like to know your feedback as you come into the studio audience and you grab your virtual seats. I want to make sure that this is an engaging conversation. So let me know who you are so I'll know who I'm talking to, and let me know where you're visiting in from. But can you be a nice person and ultimately still end up with some wonderful results, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your family, whether it's just with your friends and social acquaintances? There are so many different schools of thought because we're going to deep dive into a few of them, but I want to make sure that it's an active conversation so that when we're talking, you get a chance to chime in, put your comments over there in the comment section. I'm also going to share a link with you, and in this link, you'll be able to cut and paste and come right into the broadcast. Come sit alongside me and we can have some conversation and talk it through, because are you nice? Are you too nice? When is enough enough? It's a lot of different schools of thought, right? So let's talk through this. So welcome to today's episode. Let's see. I see you, Dr. Tina Ramsey. How are you? Thank you so much for visiting in from South Carolina. And I see that you said hello as well. All of you all that are visiting in, we'd love to put your comments up. And actually, you know what, Dr. Tina, I'm going to make sure people at some point throughout today's broadcast, I think I have a video, if I'm not mistaken, I'll be able to just play. Let me go over here and make sure I have one. The CTR Media. Do I have? Yes, I have CTR Media Network. So I'm going to make sure at some point today throughout our discussion that I play the CTR Media commercial as well and let people know more about you all and how they can connect with CTR Media Network. It actually streams in over 100 countries and 350 million households. So you definitely want to connect with Dr. Tina Ramsey. All right. Already share your thoughts. Can you be nice and still have some results? Talk to me and tell me what your thoughts are on it. And I'm giving you all a chance to get into your virtual seats. We also have audio listeners on all different audio platforms. If you haven't ever gone over to the Kim Jacobs Show on our audio streaming, we're streaming on iHeartRadio, Spotify, we're streaming on Amazon Music, Deezer, Sound Deezer, GeoSaven, you name it, we're streaming there if you're the person that prefers to listen to your shows. The Kim Jacobs Show actually streams there as well. All right. So as we kick everything off, this is a great topic, Dr. Tina. So tell me your thoughts. I believe so. You believe that you can be nice. I see you, Mackenzie. You said, I believe you can be nice. And you're visiting in from Georgia. Thank you so much. And you said, this is a great topic. My mom used to say, you tell them to go to you know what. Okay. Tell them to go wherever you know where, type of thing, but with a smile. So your mom, Mackenzie, is the person that's like, you can go do No, I'm not doing that. All right. So that's good to know. All right, everybody, listen. As you come in, share your thoughts, and we're going to go ahead and kick everything off. My theory is I was actually looking at Forbes magazine and asked the question, can women entrepreneurs be nice and still have a positive outcome with their business ventures? And so in Forbes magazine, they were saying that with venture capitalists, that women actually outperform men in a lot of those venture capital ventures. And when we looked at why, they said specifically that uh, according to Forbes, that women have more humility when they're given funding. And I was like, that's an interesting school of thought. I hadn't thought of that. So they were saying in the magazine that women are less likely to get funded by venture capitalists because whenever a female founder presents an opportunity, the bar is often set so much higher than the idea the team or the prospects needs superior services, meaning the female entrepreneur needs superior services in order to really be considered by the venture capitalist. But since female founders generally raise less money, which this is just according to Forbes here, they are more likely to succeed and focus more when they actually receive the funds. So that's a good school of thought. So because of the fact that they're less likely to get funded, when they do get funded, they are super serious and extremely focused on unit economics and efficiency, leading them to become better business managers. Because at this point, it's like, oh, I get funded. Oh my gosh. And if you're a female in the studio audience, share your thoughts too. Do you, because many of us are business entrepreneurs and owners of businesses, do you feel like it's a shocker when you finally receive some funding and it's like, okay, 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 I have the money. Now, what am I going to do to really do everything I can do and get accomplished with the funds that I have? I know for me, that definitely is the case. Sometimes when I'll get funding, I will sit there and like come up with an entire game plan to make sure that not $1 is inappropriately executed on where it shouldn't, meaning not inappropriate as in illegal or anything like that, because that's not the case ever at all. But I'm saying, meaning that I don't want to put it in this bucket if it really needs to be allocated over here but it takes time to process that and to understand where are you going to execute and implement when you finally get the funding as a female entrepreneur. So what are your thoughts on what I'm saying? Anybody? Let's see, any comments? What's some comments, Mackenzie? Women like to know where every penny goes. That's about the size of it, as my grandma said. We always want to know exactly where our money is going, and is it going to yield us some type of benefit by putting it there? Yes, Dr. Tina, you said that's interesting. It's very interesting, right? Because I actually hadn't thought of that until I was reading that article. I was like, this is some good stuff here that's happening. Let me see. I'm thinking for a couple of things. I'm thinking that the other thing that they were saying in Forbes is that women are happy to take risks when necessary, but they're more sensitive to risk taking. So they're not, I'm gonna go back and read this one piece because while the risk taking tendencies of men and women entrepreneurs are no different, they said the risk taking is no different. Women have a higher level of loss aversion. So what that means is that women founders are happy to take the risk when necessary, but they're more sensitive to the pain of the loss. If something happens and it doesn't fare well, then the women are like, oh my gosh, that hurt, that damaged my situation, or whatever the case may be. So having that risk taking ability is something that's innate within the women and the men, according to Forbes. But having the sensitivity of the pain of that loss is something that is higher sensitivity for women. And so, yeah, this is some interesting schools of thoughts is what I'm seeing you all say. And so definitely chime in and keep your thoughts coming, because I actually think personally whenever I've experienced loss, I take it extremely personal. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that was the wrong move. I can't believe that I surrendered to that or succumbed to that and thought that it would be a different outcome. Then does that mean I'm thinking my judgment wasn't accurate in that case? So tell me, I mean, how does it make you feel when you experience loss, even though you think that you have done the right thing in that particular project or situation? So tell me your thoughts on it, please, because I would love to hear it. And I'm going to give you all a second. Don't feel like we're rushing or anything. We have an hour together if we want to spend that time together. So how do you deal with the risk? The other thing is there is a lower, according to this study here, there is a lower emphasis on external motivations for women. So another reason that women outperform men as entrepreneurs, according to this Forbes article, is because they are they meaning us as women place lower emphasis on external motivations. So likely, like, solely making money is not the biggest that's not the biggest factor. Most female founders are motivated by intrinsic factors like autonomy, making a difference, and having a strong desire to contribute to society. Those are some of the nurturing skills that women we automatically have, whether we have children or whether we're overseeing ministries or overseeing friendships or hanging out with people in professional associations. It's innate within us to be nurturers. So external motivations are not always the biggest thing when it comes to money for us as women. But again, this is clumping everyone together. There are some women that are like, you can speak for yourself. That's why I'm here to represent me, because money does matter to me. And I'm definitely more on the men entrepreneur side of things when it comes to my money. So everyone's different. This is just one particular article, and I'm going to put this in here so you all can read it in its entirety. So I'll put it over in the comments section. Oh, Effie, you're on. Hey, Effie, put her comment up, Mackenzie, for me. Effie Robertson, she's also a talk show host, and she's big on disrupting things. So she disrupts the status quo big time. Her and her husband and they feel like, a lot of things in life need to be shaken up. Don't just be same old routine, but disrupt some things. And so thank you for being here today. You say that you allow yourself to grieve the loss, and refuse to drown in it. I regroup and restart. I love that. And how many of you all in the studio audience agree with that? I agree with what Effie is saying. Grieve whatever loss is happening. That's financial. And when it's personal loss, it's different. You can't just skip past it, get through it, go on about your business. That, for me, has not been the case. I accept what I have to accept when it comes to family loss and things of that nature, because I don't have a choice. I have to accept it because it's happened. But just to be like, oh yeah, did that, done that, and all that, we know we're talking from a business perspective here. So you grieve the loss, you refuse to drown in it. I love that. And you regroup and restart. And tell me, how do you restart? Type a comment on what does restarting look like for you, Effie. And again, I know you always slayed to the side with your cute look, so feel free to use this link and come right on and tell us directly, cut and paste it in the browser. It'll bring you into today's broadcast. And let me know, guys, too, if this is something you all like, where I come on and we talk like this and have just some discussions about how we're balancing different aspects of our lives and have an open discussion like this. So y'all let me know if this kind of stuff works for you. All right. So going on to today, we're talking, we already said we're talking about you can be nice and still get results. I don't know. Everybody thinks differently about it, but I think it's a possibility of that happening. But the reason I want us to talk about this is because we have being nice is one thing, but letting people run all over you is another thing. So let's talk about that. We're going to talk about that. Let's come back from our commercial break first, and then when we come back, I want to hear what your thoughts are on being nice to people as a person. Just I'm nice to everybody, and being run all over by people. There's a big difference between the two, and I want to hear your thoughts on, do you think there's a difference? What are your thoughts about it? And let's discuss it right after this commercial break. We'll be right back. All right, everyone, we are back. I'm Kim Jacobs, host of the Kim Jacobs Show, and we're bringing balance to the world one household at a time. The way that we do that is by being able to provide maybe a missing piece of the puzzle that might be missing in your own personal life, in your family's lives, and come on and we talk about different topics that we believe matter most to you so that we can figure out some solutions in this thing called life. All right. So as we're talking today, today's episode is sponsored by vproducts.store. With vproducts.store, they have 6 infused mushroom, like these 6 mushroom infused coffee. Then they also have black coffee that people rave about. So go to vproducts.store. And if you get a chance, let them know the Kim Jacobs Show sent you their way. All right, some thoughts. Any thoughts on being nice, but also just being a doormat and being ran over? So let's see what anybody say. Anything? Mackenzie, pop some comments up. I see you, Veronica. You said good morning, cuz. Good morning. Good morning to you as well. Let's see, Mackenzie, you got any more comments back there? Personal is different. Oh yeah, personal grief is very different than what Effie was talking about. She was talking about business in some corporate and company loss type of thing. Yes, you agree, Dr. Tina said as well. I agree with what you're saying. Thank you so much for your comments. And let's see any other comments come up so far. So what do you think? Letting people run all over you is one school of thought. Is it right to ask for what you want, or are you supposed to accept what is dished out to you and just get what you get? Well, I personally think that if you're the one that's always giving, do you ever find yourself in that situation that I have situations where I am pouring out to the point where I have nothing left to give. It's like, okay, I've given everything I can think to give. And I'm constantly over the course of my life saying, yes, here you go. Yes, here you go. Yes, 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 yes. And then when I finally say, not this time, it is like I like attack the person. I'm like, really? I say yes all the time for the most part, right? And go to extreme measures to attempt to help people in situations and circumstances. And the reason I do that is because I love people. I love God's people. And I really, really want to see everyone be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And I personally believe that God wants us to hold people to a higher esteem than we hold ourselves. That's because of my spiritual belief, right? So not everyone is on that wavelength where like, girl, bye. I'm putting this situation first, and everything else will take care of itself. So sometimes I'm warring. I can only speak personally. Sometimes I'm warring within myself to say, okay, I know from a biblical perspective that I should always hold someone higher than I hold myself, as far as me personally saying I am the most important source. I am the most important thing. But then there comes a balance when we're talking from a balanced perspective. There are some situations where people know that I can always go to Kim. I can always go to Kim because Kim's going to come through. But then they don't always know my circumstances or my situation. So when they come, if I'm not able to at that moment, or if I'm not, or I really am not genuinely able to at that moment, then the other person might on the receiving end be like, well, what happened? This is the relationship I've been used to the whole time. Now you're getting brand new and you're getting funny and you're so I'm wondering. Okay, yeah. So Dr. Tina, let's some people have made comments. Let's see what your comments are. Pop them up for me. Effie said hello. Hey, Effie, how are you? Dr. Tina Ramsey said that's true. We will take risks, but we are more calculated and attached to the outcome. That is 100%, I believe, accurate for most women. Any other comments? There's some new comments down at the bottom. Whether it's good or bad, yes, yes. I see one saying, I get it. I get what you're saying, Kim, and that's happened to me as well. And when that happens to you, please share how did you handle it? Because I'd love to have a different perspective on it as well. And yes, you said you can be nice. You can be nice and not allow anyone to take advantage of you. However, it's a fine line. Set the boundaries. I had to learn the hard way. Yeah. And you're doing some typing over there, Dr. Tina. Thank you so much for being an active participant. You said there are gifts that God gave you and me to positively impact the world with good. But we forget that God also gave us those gifts to impact our lives at the same time. We have been balanced and set boundaries. Stay prayed up. I agree with you. And that you're talking about prayer every single day, multiple times a day. I pray because I want God to always lead and guide me in the way of all truth, not just in what I think should happen in a situation, but what do you want me to do in this situation, Lord? And how does it best represent you? And so sometimes I may not be able to do exactly what they're asking, but I may be able to do a portion of what they're asking. Or I might be able to give another alternative to what they're asking. Maybe they're asking for it on this day. I might be able to do it next week. So I'm a big person, like what you're saying, Dr. Tina, I offer alternatives many times over. Because just because I might not be able to do something right at that moment doesn't mean that I'll never be able to do it. It's just that at that moment, I might not be able to. Well, one thing for sure, too, is do you believe in the theory of it's nice to be nice? Because my grandma Key, she would always say when people give gifts and different things, she was like, that is so nice. That's nice to be nice. Look at that. My grandma, she'd be like, before she passed away, she would put her hands up and she said, Kim, tell them thank you. Tell them thank you. That's so nice what they done did for you. I was like, Grandma, they can see you talking. She talked through her teeth. She's like, now that right there was so nice what they done for you. Talking about the church. She was talking about the church community and people that would give gifts during different occasions. She was like, now look at these people. They being so nice to you. So anyway, yes, I do agree. It's nice to be nice. And when we are nice to people, we should be mindful of the fact that if we're always the ones being nice all the time and not receiving niceness back, then that's called usury, right? And so we don't want that to be the case. And I'm not sure in the studio audience if you found yourself being too nice, where people have taken advantage of your kindness and your niceness. If that's the case, put something in the comment section about how people handle your niceness. Okay. And Effie said that she's learned to set boundaries. Let's see. Okay. I've learned to set boundaries, especially with family and friends. And yeah, that's a whole different ball game. When we talk about family and friends, let's talk about that for a minute. There are family members that know that you are the go-to for different situations, right? And then there are other family members that are the go-to for certain situations. So within a family unit, we all know, because we know each other on a different level. And so we know if I need this, if I want to have a discussion about political topic, for example, I go to these people within my family to glean from them and see what their schools of thoughts are on opposing sides, right? Speaking of politics, let's talk about that for a second. There are times when you're trying to hang out with family and friends, and it can turn real political, right? So if you know that that causes too much tension in your conversations, then be mindful of that going in. Make some conscious decisions. Listen, here are some house rules, everybody. We're coming together for the family reunion. We're coming together to have a great time. We're coming together to discuss business or whatever it is that y'all are doing. Let's keep these topics off the table so that way we can all leave on a happy note. It might be sports, because I mean, I saw some video where the man, after the one team lost, he was kicking the TV screen. I mean, the whole party was there celebrating the others, and he was destroying the place, destroying it. And it's because something triggered in him that was like, my team lost, my team lost. And he couldn't control himself, or chose not to control himself. But that was over the top, right? So maybe certain topics need to be stayed away from at certain occasions. Keep that in mind. So can you be nice and still get a great result? That's what we're talking about today. Okay? So nice does not mean that you have to agree with everything that someone says. That's not what nice means. Just because you're a nice person, you're kind, you're easygoing, does not mean that you have to agree with everything that somebody else says. You're not going to get the result that you want in life if you're constantly in agreement with things that you know you don't agree with. So why would you say you agree with something you don't agree with it? That doesn't, to me, that's just like, I don't agree with that. So I'm not going to tell you that I agree with something that I know I don't agree with just because I'm a nice person. I am a nice person and I love everybody. But if I don't agree with something, I don't agree with it. And I'm still going to speak that truth as well. Do you all speak your truth? Do you all share when you really don't agree with something? Let's see. I see you saying that's true. Effie, you said politics and religion can be very heated. And most of the time it's like when you're on different sides of the thing, oh my gosh, it can get so intense. It's like, well, you need to learn how to understand what happened to you. And it's like, what? If you don't get off my phone and let me be who God created me to be, and you worry about you, it's a trip, right? Okay, but let's talk about this too. There are times when people go to such extremes the opposite way that now you're known in the family and business and your professional circles as, and I don't want to say, I'm trying to give the official title, but they give you a title of not so pleasant is what I think I'll say. So they're like, oh, look at her. She is just a whole trip, and thinking that she know everything, a know-it-all, and a person that's on the opposite end where people don't want to deal with you at all. So you don't want to be in that situation either. So it's one extreme to be so nice that people use you as a doormat. It's another extreme to be so curt and rude and matter of fact, and you better get to step in and get thee behind me and all of that stuff. Then that's going to the opposite end of the spectrum. Okay. And you don't want to be there either. So there has to be that happy balance and meeting of the minds of, I'm nice, but I know how to assert myself when it comes to standing my ground for what I know is right. And nobody is going to sway me in that regard. So it's that fine balance. Do you all understand what I'm saying over here? Somebody said I pick and choose. I pick and choose. I love that. And type your name if you don't mind. I pick and choose. Picking and choosing your battles is paramount, because not every battle needs to be fought. Not every battle should you even fight. There are times when you just need to say, listen, in my case, Lord, please intervene and let you fight the battle, because at the end of the day, it's way beyond anything that I can handle. This stuff has thrown me so off kilter that even if I attempted to handle it by myself, guess what? The outcome can't be pretty, because I only know you we only know how to operate and do things within our own realm of understanding. Just like you see this frame that's here around the perimeters of the show, I'm in the picture frame. So I don't see myself. That's what I can kind of see because I'm right here on a live video. But in most cases, if the picture was on the wall and you're in the picture frame, like Les Brown and many motivational speakers say, you can't see yourself when you're in the picture frame. So you have to ask other people, how do you see me? How do I come across? How am I being received by people on the other end? That's important. And in those questions, you can ask of people that you believe have your best interest at heart, your true friends, your true family members that give you good, honest, not yes man only feedback, but give you good, candid feedback that help you get a better outcome, a better result in your life. Is this helping anybody at all? Let's continue to have the conversation here. You say you pick and choose other comments that's coming in. Mackenzie, you going to pop some of the comments up for me backstage? All right. Amen. Let me read that one right quick. Not every battle needs to be fought. Effie said yes to what's being said. Okay. And age and experience has taught me that every battle is not mine. Great comment, Effie. Thank you. I'd love for you to come on. You could just jump right on at some point, anytime. There's some good stuff you're saying. Politics and religion can become very heated. So keeping that at bay is really good. All right. So I want to pop this up. I think it's a takeaway. You are entitled to prioritize your own needs in the mix of being nice to others. That's a point I want you all to walk away with today. In the midst of being nice and kind and considerate to everyone else and helping everyone else get the results that they're looking for in life, it is totally appropriate for you to prioritize yourself. In order to prioritize, to maximize the results that we get in life, we want to make sure that we are keeping some of the things that we know are necessary in our own lives that must be done. You have to know, okay, this is a priority for today for my life. And that can't be just pushed under the rug while you're doing everything else for everyone else. You have to prioritize what has to happen for you, for your family, for your business, for your ministry, for your family, for your, I said family, but for your professional work that God has put in your heart. He's put all of us here for a purpose. And ultimately, the purpose is for me to glorify, magnify, praise him, to be able to be his mouthpiece, to help others along this journey, and knowing that the circumstances and the situations that many women face that they think got the best of them, the devil is a liar. No matter what we experience in this journey called life, we can overcome it. We can overcome anything that is put in our path that prevents us from thinking that we can reach our destiny. The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. There are things that are beyond us, that our circumstances look bleak. They look like we could never have imagined some of the things that would happen to us. But at the end of the day, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And God has a plan and a purpose for each of our lives. And he wants us to be encouraged. He wants us to know that there are people that care about us, that care about what we've been through. And they can see how you're handling what you've gone through. Everybody ain't crazy. People be like, now, I don't know how in the world she's still standing. I have no understanding of how this woman is still able to keep her wits about her, how she's still able to praise the Lord, how she's still able to give God honor and praise and magnify him in spite of everything that she's been through. Do you all know women like that? Do you know women that have gone through cancer and they've come on the other side? They've gone through battles of divorce, gone through battles of being mislabeled, lied on, cheated on, abused physically by people. There are women that have been punched and kicked and left for dead. This is crazy how people treat other people. But regardless of the circumstances, God still has a purpose and a plan for that person's life. So anyway, you have to prioritize your own needs in the mix of being nice to others. All right. We're going to take a commercial. Let me see. Did any more comments come in? Resilience. Life will life. Disruptions will come, but we can rise and overcome. Yes, we can. We can rise up and we can overcome. We are a resilient people. We are resilient. Yes, we are, Effie. Thank you so much for that comment. Yes, too many people. Okay. Yes. Okay. Great comments, you guys. So we're going to take a commercial break. Love that. Me first. I have a story about love that me first. My father-in-law, when he was alive, I asked him to help me name a company. And I was like, well, what could the company name be? And he was like, you should call your company Me First. That was back in like the 1990s. He told me this. And I was like, Me First? I said, no, you must mean you first. Because I thought he meant you first, but just had it switched up. He was like, mm-mm, it's me first. Me first, I thought was bizarre. So when his son came down, I said, what do you think of the name Me First for a company? And he was like, who came up with that crazy idea? I was like, your dad. Anyway, so he had no idea because he had walked into the room not knowing that his dad had came up with that idea. All right, listen, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about people pleasing. Let's talk about that right after.
Nothing says I love you more than final expense insurance whole life protection. With funeral advocacy nationwide, saving you and your family 30 to 80% off funerals and cremations. Nothing says I love you more than Get Insured Solutions, LLC. GetInsured.Solutions. 704-499-3616.
All right, everybody. We are back and we are talking about, can nice people get good results? Whether it's in business, personal, just I'm merging it all together here. And I personally have a theory that yes, nice people can have positive results and outcomes in their lives. So yes, I do believe that. But tell me, do you believe that? When it comes to people pleasing, that's pretty much when we are afraid to stand up for what we believe and always attempting to make sure that we are in favor of what the other person is saying. I've been in that mode where I've been like, okay, I don't think I'm trying to determine. No, I really actually don't think I've been in that mode before. Like talk that not too much because I believe that you should be able to be transparent about how you feel in a situation, but also be mindful of how it makes the other person feel. So if that's considered people pleasing, then I'm people considerate. That's probably what I am. Not necessarily a people pleaser, but a people considerate person. And you all tell me, are you people pleasers or are you people that really just be like, it's my way. This is how I feel. And I'm only going to do it my way. And tell me your school of thought on it. I think I'm more of a hybrid. I definitely want to make sure that the other person is happy and content and satisfied with whatever it is that I'm doing. because I want to make sure that I'm not doing it in a way that's offensive or rubbing them the wrong way. So I always want to be people considerate. If that is that, I don't even know if that's a right terminology. But tell me your thoughts. Okay. But are you afraid to stand your ground in fear of people not accepting you or alienating you? Anybody? Put your comments. Because sometimes we know that if you take a certain stand or take a certain approach to things, then it's going to automatically put a wedge between you and the individual. We know that. So then you're not going to get the result that you're looking for. And when people say oftentimes, like when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans and things of that nature, those cliches that are out there. My thought is when you work at a place, like, for example, my daughter works at Chick-fil-A. And this we're just having some conversation here about this. But my daughter works at Chick-fil-A. And so when she's at Chick-fil-A, she has to wear the Chick-fil-A uniform. She can't go in and wear a McDonald's uniform or a Wendy's uniform. She has to wear the uniform that is required for her job. So if we're looking to get the result, when we're talking about being nice and doing these certain things and getting the outcome that we're looking to have happen, you have to have some level of willingness to please the situation in order to have a favorable outcome. In church, I'll give you another example that I wear my pen. This is probably the best example I could think to give, actually, because I wear my pen all the time, every day. When I get buried, put this pen on me. I want this pen of my son, who's in heaven already, on me, right? Keep it close to me. Now, when I'm in church and we're wearing these things called a habit, where our head is covered, black robe with a white minister's collar, and no jewelry. It's certain uniform things that have to happen whenever I'm in uniform in church for official day. So I don't put my Gabriel Michael Jacobs sun pin on my habit, because guess what? That's my uniform for that particular occasion. So you have to be compliant. You have to be compliant. If you're supposed to be in uniform, then in the church habit, I don't wear my pin. I won't wear the pin that day because I'm going to be compliant with what is required for the uniform for that scenario. So y'all talk to me in the studio audience and let me know, what do you understand what I'm saying when it comes to being able to be nice, being able to be pleasing from the perspective of not necessarily being a people pleaser, but a people considerate person and honoring what is required for that particular scenario. That's my philosophy. Tell me yours, because I see you all in the studio audience. So this has changed. I see you, Effie. You said this has changed in the past year, and I now have family that won't speak to me. What do you mean? You have family that won't speak to you because you're trying to please them? I'm people pleasing with family and close friends. I definitely think I'm more of a people pleaser when it comes to my family and people that I know are very close friends of mine as well. Yeah. All right. So not wanting to be alone is another component to people pleasing. So sometimes when we are going to the extreme to please others, we alienate our own selves because we're like, well, if I don't do it this way, then I'm going to be stuck being by myself. But being by yourself sometimes is not a bad thing, because God may want to be able to minister to you, to talk to you, to deposit some things into you that he can't do when you're constantly surrounded by other people. So being alone sometimes is a thing that is beneficial to you, because he wants to be able to work with you and to mold you and to shape you and to give you direction, to order your steps, the things that he has planned for you. In Jeremiah 29:11, he has plans for us, and they're good and they're not evil. They're plans for us to prosper, but he has to have that time to commune with you, to be able to share with you what he wants you to do so that you can walk in the direction, in the order that he's ordered your steps. All right, let's see. Effie said, now again, this is very different for me. You guys know I normally come on and I have a guest every single episode and I'm interviewing the guest. So I also have this thing called the Ask Kim segment. And that's when you and I spend the time together. But I'm doing different things because God has been putting so many different directions in my life and in my spirit. And I want to make sure that I'm compliant. I am determined to leave no stone unturned when it comes to what God has purposed for my life. Whatever his will is the only will I want to follow. When it comes to his direction for my life and his guidance for my life, I want to make sure that I'm compliant and that I'm not overstepping or understepping or missing a step of anything that my Lord and Savior has given me to do. And some things are not even for me. Some things are for other people to be a blessing to them along this journey called life. I love this dialogue with you, Kim. Effie, thank you so much for being on today and for being such an active participant. Listen, I hope that you all will also share the broadcast with your friends and encourage them to be a part of the Kim Jacobs Show experience. And let me put this comment up too. Stop making excuses, make results. A lot of times when we're making excuses for situations, it's hard to see the outcome or the result because excuses. I'm a part of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And so we have a saying that's excuses are monuments of nothingness. Those that make excuses seldom amount to anything else in life but what? An excuse. So we don't want to make excuses in our life. We want to make in our lives, we want to make sure that we're getting the outcome. Just like the parable of the talents. When God has given us, or in this particular case, the master that was right there gave the opportunity for us to be given certain amounts of talents. But when he came back to check to see what was done, the one that had the one buried the talent because so nervous, so fearful of the fact that, well, what if I use the talent and then it don't yield a return? Or what if this and what if that? There are so many things that would make us want to bury our talent. And then later come to find out the one that had the most talents actually doubled the talents because he put them to use. We don't want to go to our grave and all of our talents are surrounding us and they are like beside us and saying, I am so disappointed that I was put in that body because that person did nothing that they were supposed to do with the gifts and the talents that God trusted them with. You don't want to be that person. I know I won't be that person. Whenever God has given me as a gift or a talent, my gifts surrounding my bedside as I transition to heaven will be grateful that they were inside of this body because I'm going to use every gift and talent to the glory of God. I am not going to leave a stone unturned. And it makes me emotional to think about the fact that so many gifts and talents are laying in the cemetery, unused, and nobody got the opportunity to benefit from what God had put down on the inside of them. Do you know how horrible that is? To be given a gift that the whole world gets a chance to benefit from. And because of fear, because of being shy or nervous about it, or I don't know if I'm going to do it perfectly right, or whatever the rationale is, the devil is a liar. Don't let him strip you or rob you of the talent that God has trusted you with to be able to salt this earth. And when you don't use your gifts and your talents, the whole world misses out. The entire world misses out because he trusted you with that gift. He trusts you with that gift. And we all have different gifts. We all have different gifts. We all have different talents, and we all connect with people differently. Some people can relate to you and connect with you that would never want to hear me. They'll be like, look, we don't know, we don't even care what she's saying because I'm not her audience. I don't want to hear what this woman has to say. But then there are those that will just cling to you because they're like, now that's that person right there. That's who I need to be listening to. That's who I need to be listening to. And sometimes you don't know because you haven't experienced the person. So you have to experience some things to be able to know what's for you and what's not for you. I know I went to HBCU service Sunday at Bishop Jenright's church at Gap Church International. And I'm telling you, this man was preaching. He was preaching. Like, he's an older gentleman. I was like, man, I took about like 5-6 pages of notes. I was I was writing down all the sermon stuff. Oh, let me put my notes up. I was like, this is some good stuff. This was amazing. And normally, like it's a nice mixture. It was a nice mixture between preaching and teaching. And I was like, oh my goodness, I learned so much. So let me share. Yeah, so he was talking from Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 through 13. And the scriptures was saying, and when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus said unto him, I will come and heal him. And I'm going to read all the scriptures, but the point is, the man was healed. And he was talking about the source being Jesus. And Jesus is the source of our strength. So as we're talking about getting different results in our lives, we need to know who our source is, who is the source of our strength. And so he was breaking this down, I'm saying at a whole different level, how to unleash our faith. And he talked about the centurion being a Roman officer. So even entertaining any of this regarding Jesus was already out of the Roman officer's wheelhouse, because that's not even normal in those days, right? But he talked about having faith that acknowledges the authority of a higher being than ourselves. So making sure, you guys, listen, as we stop making excuses and making results in our lives, identify who your higher authority is, hang your hat and your soul on that. But make sure that you acknowledge who your authority is, because it's way more than me and you in this lifetime. We are created some kind of way, right? I hang my soul on Jesus Christ. That's who Kim chooses to hang hers on. And just like we can say any football team that we like, any political arena that we like, I can shout boldly my spiritual belief, And then he also talked about acknowledging the Lord's authority, and then he talked about the fact of displaying humility in the presence of who we are humbling ourselves to. So anyway, I'm not going through all of it, but I just want you to know that we have to stop making excuses in order for us to have results in our lives. This is personal, business, family, friends, whatever way you want to categorize it. These are some things that can help you. And stop apologizing. Stop apologizing all the time. Are you really sorry that much? No. You're not sorry all that time, because some of the stuff you're saying is true. So you don't need to apologize for everything that you already know is a true statement. Let that sink in for a second. It's a true statement. What you're saying, you said it because you wanted to say it. So you don't have to apologize all the time. When you're looking to get a result in your life, you have to do a few things and start looking back over your life to say, okay, what am I doing here? I'm constantly being nice and showering niceness to everybody else but myself. I'm always making some type of excuse. Procrastination is the assassination of your motivation. I'm always making an excuse as to why I can't get this thing done, why I can't get started now, why I can't make it happen now, why I can't do what God told me to do until the right time, until everything is perfect. Everything's not going to be perfect all the time. That's why with GPS, it recalibrates and it says, okay, we thought we were going to send you this way, but now we're going to send you this way because the traffic that way is going to be a nightmare. And every time I don't listen to that GPS, I get stuck in some bumper to bumper traffic. I'm like, I should have just listened to the GPS. It was trying to send me in a different direction. Think about it. Listen to the GPS in your life. Who's guiding your life? Listen to the GPS and recalibrate when it tells you to. Make some changes. Make some turn here, U-turn, do whatever you need to do. All right. No excuse zone. Yes, Deron, thank you for being on today. No excuse zone. Tony Swin, I see you, Tony. And Tony's a host as well. You guys listen. I'm not sure. But I know men can't always be wrong. It's a lot of podcasts that are over there. Let me take a moment right quick and tell you all just a couple of things that I need you to know. One is, if the Kim Jacobs Show has been helping you, your household, your family in any way by bringing balance to your house, make sure you donate via Cash App, Kim Jacobs Inc., or paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc. And you can do that right through Cash App, $ Kim Jacobs Inc., or through paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc. And I'm going to put that up here so you can screenshot it and do it right after the broadcast today. And I'll be happy to give you some shout outs. I see people that have been doing that. Don Whitty, thank you so much recently. Dr. Colin Clark, thank you. Mr. Wayne, thank you so much. Daron, I know once recently you just did a donation as well. Hope for All. I thank you all so much for your contribution to the Kim Jacobs Show. All right. I want to play a commercial from CTR Media Network right quick, and then we're going to come back and prepare to close out.
CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.
All right, everyone, we are back. And CTR Media Network is where we also stream the Kim Jacobs Show, and it streams in 100 countries, 350 million households. Thank you so much, Dr. Tina Ramsey and Mr. Curtis Ramsey, for starting the CTR Media Network. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it. All right, so that's today's episode. We enjoyed our conversation, and I really appreciate you all taking the time to be a part of our discussion. I absolutely love all of you, and I'm hoping that something that was shared today will help you on your journey as you continue to be nice, but also strive to get the results that God has purposed in your life. All right. And so if I was to close out on just a couple of key final things, be mindful that we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So you're going to have to, you can just pull out a blank sheet of paper and write a circle with like a pie chart on it. Okay. And on that, I'll draw it so you see. And on that, I want you to, this is homework. Okay. But on that, I want you to identify how you're going to spend your 24 hours. What percentage? Now, you can't go higher than 100%. So all that 1,000% and all of that stuff, that I don't know, but 100%. So what percentage are you going to give each category within that 24-hour period? Now, you know you have to put sleep in there as well. So be mindful of those things when you are doing your pie chart exercise, but really hone in on where you're going to spend your time so that you can get the maximum results in your life. Okay? So I hope that's helpful to you all. I really love you all, and I've enjoyed our time together. And thank you, Mackenzie, for being backstage. I appreciate you and all of the wonderful comments that came in. God bless you and have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time.